October 1574. Inside the walls of Leiden, 18,000 people are trapped. Half the population is already dead, claimed by a spreading plague and a starvation so absolute that survivors are boiling shoe leather and hunting rats just to endure another day. When a desperate, angry mob finally corners Mayor Peter Adriaans van der Werf, demanding he surrender the city, he refuses. Instead, he offers the starving crowd a grotesque alternative. They can butcher and eat his own arm. Just outside those walls waits the Spanish army. They are well-fed, heavily armed, and perfectly disciplined veterans of campaigns across the globe. They don't even need to fire their cannons. They simply have to wait. The Dutch trapped inside know exactly what is coming. Previous cities that surrendered were massacred to the last man. Starving slowly or dying quickly are their only conventional options. True survival will require a choice of unimaginable extremity. The Spanish Empire in the 1570s possesses an unmatched military machine. Funded by vast streams of silver from the Americas, their elite infantry, the tercios, operate with a ruthless professional precision that no European rival has defeated in open combat. The Dutch rebel forces are a fraction of the size. They rely on an improvised coalition of merchants, local farmers, and rogue privateers, known as the Sea Beggars. Head-to-head, it is a slaughter. William of Orange, the leader of the Dutch resistance, makes a strategic calculation. He knows that every time his civilian army faces the Spanish tercios on solid ground, they are decimated. He realizes the Dutch cannot build a better army than Spain. To win, they have to physically alter the terrain beneath the enemy's feet. A year earlier, at the city of Alkmaar, William tested an extreme theory. He ordered local dikes opened, and the resulting flood forced the highly trained Spanish forces to abandon their siege and flee from the rising mud. But looking at this map of the Siege of Leiden, you can see the sheer geographic hurdle. The Dutch rescue fleet and its vital supplies are stranded out on the waterways, separated from the walled city by miles of solid, fortified farmland. William sends a desperate plea to the local farmers. He asks them to take pickaxes to earthen dikes and deliberately destroy their own fields, homes, and autumn harvests to let the ocean rush in. The farmers agree. They choose to drown the very landscape their ancestors spent centuries reclaiming from the ocean, accepting total economic ruin to deny an invader the ground they stand on. On August 3rd, the dikes are breached, but the sea creeps in agonizingly slowly. The water is entirely too shallow, and the Dutch rescue ships immediately run aground in the thick mud. The wind refuses to cooperate. Days turn into weeks. Inside Leiden, the death toll climbs by the hour, while the immobilized rescue fleet sits helpless on the horizon. Then, in late September, the weather breaks. A violent gale shifts to the west, aggressively driving the ocean inland. The water level surges upward, transforming dry Dutch polders into a turbulent lake. The freezing seawater pours directly into the Spanish camps. Their intricate siege trenches collapse, their gunpowder turns to paste, and infantry formations dissolve into panic. The elite veterans of the Spanish Empire flee the rising tides so frantically that when the rebel ships arrive, they find pots of carrot and onion stew, hutspot, still boiling over abandoned campfires. The siege is lifted. By erasing the solid earth, the Dutch prove the seemingly invincible Spanish war machine can be broken. Leiden provided the blueprint, but turning a one-time flood into a defense system took decades. Once the Spanish were pushed back, strategists like Maurice of Nassau began constructing a permanent network of sluices and fortresses, stretching from the Zuiderzee down to the river wall. This diagram shows the Dutch waterline's mechanics. Engineers flooded the countryside to an exact depth, just deep enough to drown marching infantry, yet shallow enough that any deep-holed enemy warship would run aground. This margin was calibrated exclusively for flat-bottomed Dutch gun barges. This map displays the ultimate result. By engineering their greatest geographical vulnerability, the Dutch established an impenetrable defensive network that protected the nation from empires for 300 years. To honor the starving citizens, William of Orange granted Leiden a permanent reward. He founded Leiden University, an intellectual monument to their endurance. Today, the trauma and triumph of 1574 do not collect dust in local history books. The memory is actively lived in the streets. Every October 3rd, the city distributes herring and white bread, the exact same survival rations the rebel sailors brought through the open gates. 4.5 centuries later, the Dutch still gather to share the same meal their ancestors ate in the ruins of the city. Their survival is built on a mastery of their land and the knowledge that they will destroy their fields before they ever surrender.